All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use two features of our new accounts, which are the Player Identifier feature and the Reports feature. So first things first, let's say I have a Kahoot. There are two different ways that I can do this Kahoot. I can either assign it or host it live. If I choose the assign option, this means that this is something that students are going to do on their own. It allows me to set a deadline, so a date and a time that this will be due. And I can post this in my Schoology course and have students work through this on their own time and at their own place and pace. So the feature that I think teachers are going to love is this player identifier feature. This makes students sign in with their fcpsschools.net. And not only does it allow me to make sure that students are who they are and not putting in silly names, but I can then track their progress and see what questions they're getting right. And it's going to give me some high quality data. So in order to do this, I'm just going to toggle this on. I'm going to set my due date and time and then create it. Once I do this, it's going to generate a URL for me, and I suggest that you just copy this URL and then paste it in your Schoology course. As soon as you paste that and students start accessing it, you'll see them start popping up here under participants, and then you'll be able to see who your students are, what their correct answers are, what are they not answering, like have they finished this. All of that really awesome data is going to pop up here, and this actually is kind of like a little mini report in itself that you can download and see all of that really awesome data just right here. And of course, by the time it's due, all of that will be complete. Now, let's say that you are going to host this Kahoot live. Once you click that button, you're actually going to set the player identifier before you start the game, down here with this settings gear. You click that settings gear and player identifier pops up here. You toggle that on, and now students need to sign in before they start the game. You will need to do this before the game starts, so make sure that you toggle that on. Once you press play, then it is too late to make them sign in again. It is possible before you press play for that to, even if they've signed in before you press play, it'll make them re-sign in, but once you press play, it's kind of over. You'll have to restart the entire game. So make sure you press player identifier and their name will show up as their actual name in the game. It is a deterrent for inappropriate answers, and then even if they do make inappropriate answers, you can follow up later. And then again, you'll get that really awesome data that will be tracked back to the actual student. So let's say that you play this game and it's awesome. You're so excited to get that fantastic data. What you'll do is you will click on that game that you've done, and then you'll press options after the game is over. You'll click reports. And then what you have here is actually every single time you have ever done this Kahoot, not just you, but anybody on your team. So we know that we have shared folders where you are sharing this in a library. If you have made this in the South Lakes workspace, it's possible that you and your entire team have done the same Kahoot. So you actually have the data from everybody. Now, if you have done this Kahoot with Player Identifier, it will actually say that here. So you can see every time I've done this, I actually have not used the Player Identifier feature, but the time I did it with the most people, I did. So here, I had 11 people play this Kahoot, and you can see it shows me the names of the people. And this is a Kahoot where I had 14 questions, but only one question that was a scoreable question, a question that actually had a right answer. The rest were questions that were like feedback questions where they were writing an open answers or there was no scored question. But on that one scored question, it tells me the percentage of players or students who got it correct. And I can actually click on that question and get detailed analysis of what was going on with that question. So this was a slider question where there was an answer that was correct. So it's 2006, and I scored it or I keyed it so that either 2005, 6, or 7 was correct. So 2 players actually got it correct. One answer was close to correct, and then there were a whole bunch that were incorrect or had no answer. And then I can look down here and see who were the people who answered correct or not answered at all or got it actually incorrect. So you can see all of that. And then also the amount of time it took people to answer, and then the points that they got, and so on and so forth. It gives me an average time, like how many people answered, or all of that stuff is just really, really fantastic to know. It gives you a list of difficult questions here. So what are the most missed questions? It will tell you those are your difficult questions for your students. And then that's really awesome because you can just make a new Kahoot just based off of your difficult questions as well. So you can see just how awesome these reports are. There is an answer, a question that comes at the very end that you can choose to have your students answer, just about like how do you feel about this in general? How did this Kahoot make you feel? Only one person answered that because I think I put it up at the very, very end. So again, this is how you can generate a report. You can also download it. And so hopefully you find this to be a helpful feature of our brand new accounts.